All right, there we go. Hello, friends. This is Jonathan Harmon with the J. Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams, with my buddy Ricky Martini here. We are sitting in the brainstem, if you will, of the recording studio over at the Walnut House.
Yes.
Aptly named because it's on Walnut Street.
Walnut Street, yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And I just got done having a tour. Beautiful facility, by the way.
Thank you.
And pretty diverse. I didn't realize what all was here. So can you kind of start and just give us a mental tour
Sure.
of what we got?
Yeah, when you walk in the door and into the lobby, just off the lobby is the Walnut Room, and it's a space that can hold 50 to 70 people. We can rent that out, or it can be a live music space or an event space to do whatever we want to do in for that amount of people. On the 17th, we've got Secret Commonwealth coming in for St. Patrick's Day, which we're super excited about.
They're very good, and they're actually playing, by the way, at a thing that Bobby Turman, the Hungry
Right.
Hippie, is doing as well. So
exactly,
that's kind of a good little preview for them, right?
It really is. Yeah, and they're a good bunch of guys too, and they've been doing this. This is their 26th anniversary that they're celebrating here. So 26 years of doing this. So we're looking forward to that. And then you come back out in the lobby, you come upstairs, and you walk into our main event space, which is
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's beautiful, and it's extremely well laid out, and it sounds like a high-quality concert hall. You know how you can walk through a room and you're like, oh, I bet it sounds amazing in here.
right, exactly, and it does sound amazing in there.
I bet.
And the reason for it sounding so good is actually it was the main room of a recording studio. So it has a floating floor, and there's bass traps on the walls. And when we started putting this all back together and trying to recreate what it once was, one of the things that we did was we said, well, should we do this or should we not do this? And we decided to preserve all the bass traps and to keep the floor isolated. We had to put a new floor down, and we decided to keep it isolated and keep the recording studio vibe of it. Which led to interesting things because we really want to do a lot of weddings in this space. And we have done some weddings and receptions. But we wanted to do something special. A wedding planner came in one time and said, well, windows are trending. And we don't have any windows.
Right. In fact, they're bricked up, aren't they?
Well, they are on the alley side.
Yeah.
And the reason for all of that is the alley actually belongs to a private person. And so you have to have 3 feet of space in order to have a window or a door on the outside of your property. So the property line is right next to our building, so you can't have anything that opens out.
Interesting.
That's a code. And so Nathan Adam, one of our owners, who's a genius. He works at Belmont University. He's a professor up there. And he said, well, let's create windows. And so we have projection mapping. And so
I saw a video of that on y'all's website. That is wicked cool.
It's very cool. I haven't showed you that, but before we go out, I'll show you some cool stuff.
Okay. But
the idea there was to make the bass traps windows. And even if we did have windows, you wouldn't be looking at much.
Right.
So
sides of other buildings.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So the reality was, well, why not be able to take somebody and put them wherever they wanted to be? So,
yeah.
So if you want to be out in the South Pacific, well, we can give you the ocean outside of the windows.
That is very, very cool.
And then that's kind of morphed into a whole bunch of other things that we can do. We had a fraternity that had an event here, a formal here, and their theme was under the sea. So 270 degrees of coral reef action on video. That
forget going to the aquarium, right?
Yeah, it was right here. So that's very cool as well. So the room is a multifunctional space. And next to my heart, of course, is having concerts in there. But we're also putting some really classy events together for the space.
So let's go back to the Walnut Room.
Yeah.
When I walked in, the first thing I thought is it had a very cafe feel to it.
Right.
And I know that was something that you toyed with a little bit. But your overall philosophy that we talked about is we're going to put the music first, and then everything else comes second to that.
Right. Yeah. Like especially in the main space in the Walnut Room, we'll have a little bar going in there. If we do an event our own event, little music thing, and we've got some really cool stuff coming up too that we're going to announce real soon. But and not your average shows that everybody puts on in the bars. But we didn't want to have a thing that says, "Hey, we're a bar."
And by the way, we have live music.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We didn't want that to be a primary focus. One of the things that I've wanted to do ever since I've retired from the road was to have a place where we can have music and it's the focus. So when we have a concert upstairs, the downstairs is where you go you get your drinks and hang out if you want to have a conversation. While you're in the main hall and people are on stage and they're bearing their soul, you're listening to them.
Gotcha.
And I think that it's something that we don't have in this community. So
well, even Nashville, there's not very many venues like that. A handful,
not small ones.
Yeah,
anymore.
A handful come to mind where it's about the music first. But I mean, for the most part, people go out and they party, and oh, by the way, there's live music, and we're going to sing Sweet Caroline, and
I think in Nashville too, you do have a lot of places where people go to those bars because this band is playing there.
Yes.
But they've also worked and created a following through many years of being open and creating that existence.
Sure.
And I think that there is an incredible music scene going on in Nashville and in East Nashville, and in 12 South. So there's lots of things to do. There's lots of places to go, and I think that people go to bars up there because a band is playing there. Unlike in Murfreesboro, it's there's not a lot of people going to the bars to hear music or bands that they enjoy listening to, because they're really going more for the hangout for the beer and everything else. And a certain amount of people are going to see their favorite bands play, but it's not the focus of the bar. The focus of the bar is to sell booze or sell beer.
Yep.
Or a restaurant to sell food in the case of Puckett's. I mean, Puckett's has a great reputation, but still they're there to sell food and
entertain you while you're there, so you order another drink.
Exactly right. Well, and it's quality entertainment.
It is.
I'm not trying to knock what they're doing.
It's just not the same mission as what you're doing.
It's not my mission. My mission is like being on the road for 35 years. I've been to places like the Ark in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I should shut my phone off so that.
Usually, I find people for that. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't even know what to ask for. So.
But so the whole deal is that we wanted to create a space that would eventually be like a nationally known place, a place that people want to play because it's not a bar. It's a place about music, and it's a place about people coming to listen to every note that you play and every word that you sing, and to get what you're saying in your music and to understand the emotion coming through your music.
It's an artist venue.
Yes.
Is what it amounts to.
Exactly right.
Yep. I love that.
And we have nicely apportioned dressing rooms and a place for the artists to feel real comfortable while they're here.
Oh yeah, so that was the other thing. So when you're on Walnut Street and you look at the front of the building, you're like, oh, that's a cool building. And then you walk in, and you got the little cafe thing, and you got the steps and some bathrooms, and then you walk up into the concert hall, and you're like, oh, this is pretty nice. And then you walk behind the concert hall, which is where we're sitting now in the recording studio, and there's a whole nother building back here.
Right.
And it's it is decked out. I mean, you guys really did it right back here.
Well, thanks. My wife is the my wife Carol is the
shout out
interior,
to Carol.
Yeah, exactly. She's the interior decorator. So she's the person who comes in and says, no, this has got to go here, and those kind of things. And then upstairs, of course, I took you up there too, where we have the Rosewood Suites, which are, a bride and her bridesmaids have a really nice lounge
Very
upstairs.
nice.
And a really great little dressing room,
little kitchen,
for the bride.
all kinds of stuff up there. And I think you really tried and succeeded in making a comfortable place where really anybody could come play. Right. I mean, if somebody were to tell me, pick any big, huge name, and they were going to play some kind of, intimate acoustic set at the Walnut House, I would be like, oh yeah, they're going to love it.
Oh yeah.
The artist is going to love it, right? And then the audience is going to get, like you were saying, you're 50 feet, at any seat in that room, you're 50 feet from the stage, or less.
Right, exactly.
And, I mean, talk about an intimate, what'd you call it, soul-bearing experience.
Right.
So.
And, and it's like, and I've worked for, I've been touring, and I've worked for artists over my 35-year career of doing this, who it's almost scarier to play these smaller spaces.
Absolutely.
Than to play a big O space.
Because if you got something hanging out of your nose or anything like that, you go see it.
Exactly right. But it's also it's pinpoint accuracy in your music too. I mean, if there's any mistakes made, you hear it right away because the sound is right there.
Yeah, I bet the truly gifted artists consider something like this a treat, as opposed to the what they do for a living, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think everybody, anybody who's a songwriter and has worked really hard in their career to develop their songwriting and have put records together, and they want to perform to the public. They want the public to listen to what they've got to say.
Yeah.
Because
that's any artist, right?
Exactly.
Whether they're in paint, in acting, in
exactly right.
Yeah, it's their platform, it's their voice.
Exactly. And so, I think as we venture into what we're doing with the concert thing, I think that everybody's going to find that when they come here, they're going to be treated to something really special. And in return, the artist is going to feel that love and that strength from people who are listening and paying attention to every word.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's
and
fantastic.
And all of this too makes for a great thing for anybody who's having an event of their own.
Yeah. Yeah, because it all feeds wedding, whatever, right?
Right, exactly. Corporate events, that you come in, you have a corporate event, and everybody breaks up into groups and goes to different places in the building, and and there's different spaces they can go to in different groups to do work groups and things like that. But yeah, I mean, and our green room doubles as a groom's lounge,
and it's awesome, by the way.
And if you are getting married in this hall, which there have been lots of weddings in this hall in the past before we started back to doing this, the groom can come from one end of the building and the bride on the other, and meet in the middle. So
what was this building originally?
Originally, I know back like when I first got here, this was a Lewis Jones appliance business, and they sold appliances. And
so was this all warehouse space in the back then?
I think Mr. Lewis actually was downtown at the Alley having their 55th wedding anniversary, and they had a bunch of family members, and they came and took a tour. So they told me a few things about it, but back here where we are now was actually, where the service vehicles were parked. And
oh, gotcha.
And there was a parts department and a repair center, and the upstairs, they had little offices up there, and not quite as developed as we have it now, but yeah, I mean it was a full service appliance center. And
well, it has certainly come a long way from that.
It has. Yes, it has.
Man.
It's a pretty incredible space.
So you guys have Secret Commonwealth coming up on the 17th. Mm-hmm. That'll be up in the Walnut Room, in the front room.
Exactly.
And I know that, the goal is to obviously the events and private events and things like that. But you do want to utilize the space for some other public events. Sure. You had -1 in here last weekend.
Exactly.
And you were telling me a little bit about them for...
Yeah, it's 4 really great guys who are excellent singers and excellent guitar players, and they do classic rock covers. And
nice.
So, and what a joy to mix. Usually I get an engineer to mix the shows that we have here, but I absolutely positively had to do that one.
That was your baby, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But I love these guys. I've known Thane Sharon at this point for probably half of my life, and ever since I've been in Murfreesboro, and when I started working here, Main Street was one of the places that I went to work in the sound company that was owned by Philip Austin, who owned Main Street. So, I've known Thane for years. I've known Kurt Mink for probably as long as I've known Thane, and known Bob Bearden for years, and just recently met Dan Schaefer. So it's those 4 guys, and it's a spectacular night.
Very good.
Really great music.
What else you got coming up? Is there anything you can throw out there?
I can't divulge anything yet, but I'm working on some really cool stuff. I'm working on a series of shows with some friends of mine. Not going to be your average shows that you go to see.
Okay.
We do have the jazz.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
So the MTSU Jazz department contacted us about doing some shows, and the goal being that these jazz students could come out and they can get a live music experience in front of a crowd. And you know what? I need to get some water because I'm about to.
Okay.
I'm about to choke here, but anyway.
Well, don't do that.
So the jazz students come on the first and third Thursday of each month, except for this month because the first Thursday is spring break.
Spring break.
But so what we're doing is they're coming in. They're playing from 7 to 10. And it's free to get in, and the music is unbelievable.
And that's down in the Walnut Room,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and it's just amazing how talented these kids are. I mean, the first night that it happened, and we had about 45 people here, it was just amazing. I just could not believe the amount of talent that is coming out of that school. These players are just knocked out incredible. And so, and we're soon to announce the master class is going to have a concert here. I think I need to look it up, but I think it's April 18th. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with the MTSU Jazz department, and I also work, and have worked for years with the Jazz Fest that we have on the square. So I'm really enjoying doing this to kind of like keep the jazz thing going all year round. And
so will you guys host anything for that? Will you be a part of that? I mean,
if the Jazz Fest people want to, absolutely. In the past, the Walnut House has been a backup venue.
Yeah. For
that.
Hey, Kathleen, if you're watching.
So, but we're going to try to help out in any way we can. The Jazz Fest, I'm usually working the stage now that I'm off the road. So
yeah.
So I'll probably be working up there, but maybe we could do something after the festival or something like that.
The after party.
Yeah, if I do something like that, I would really want them to have a say in what they want to do.
Of course.
I don't want to do that myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate this venue being here. I will absolutely be watching. I've liked the Facebook page. You should too. And be watching for stuff coming up. I was sad that they're on spring break this week. I was actually kind of pumped about coming in, but we'll definitely put it on the calendar for 2 Thursdays from now.
Absolutely, and everybody should come out and check this out. I mean, as much as I've toured and been around incredible musicians the last 10 years with Lyle Lovett, you know, and his large band is second to none.
Right.
I mean, some of the greatest players, you know, that there are out there with Lyle and the large band. And you do festivals and you do other shows and you see all of these incredible people that you read about in magazines and you listen to on the greatest records that have ever been made, and you realize, you know, that you're sitting there watching greatness, and sometimes, you know, in my position at the monitor board, I'm just a few feet away from these incredible musicians, and then you come down and you hear these jazz players from MTSU
that are 18, 19, 20.
Yeah. And they're knocking me out because they're as good as anybody that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You know, and let me tell you, that says a lot, because I mean, these kids are good. So you should really come out and see these kids play, and they need to gain experience playing in front of a live audience, and you will not be disappointed.
Outstanding. Well, we will make it to the next one. Anything else? Anything that any little secret you can divulge?
I can't divulge any secrets, but I can tell you just to go to our Facebook page, Walnut House. That's all it is, and be watching, because sooner or later we're slowly making this move because we want to do things right.
That's right.
And but sooner or later you're going to see some concerts start popping up, and then it's going to just take off. And if you have, you know, any need for a wedding venue or meeting space or birthday parties, graduation parties, whatever, you know, just give us a call.
Sure. And go through the Facebook page to get to you guys?
You can do that, or our website is walnuthousemurfreesboro@gmail.com, and you can email us at walnuthousemurfreesboro@gmail.com.
Perfect. I'll put the link. It is. I'll put the link to the website in the comments. So,
great.
Well, guys, I appreciate you watching. Ricky, I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And if you guys have any real estate needs, give me a shout. And otherwise, have a great week. See ya.